Hey guys, it's Joe, Matt, and Jeff with today's Tuning Tuesday with a heavy focus on Mantic clutches, manual transmissions, all that stuff today.
Pedals.
Yes.
Three pedals are good.
The three pedals and the one all the way to the left is the one that matters for today's conversation.
My favorite pedal.
Exactly.
I really hope FTI is watching.
I
just mess with you.
Listen, I hate
converters and
he said, "Come at him, Dalton."
Yeah, wherever you're hiding. There's no hiding.
So what has new been going on with Mantic these days?
Oh dear Lord, a lot of new. We're going to show you guys. Obviously, our more popular kit that you guys sell, the GT 500 twins and triples. This is a triple. We've got our new 2018 kit. We're going to do a little comparison with the OE flywheel so the folks can see that.
That's cool. I haven't seen too many of those. Usually everyone goes straight to the A10, so it'll be cool to see though the differences between the two.
Yeah, and then we've got a white box kit that we're going to start offering to kind of bring our price point down a little bit, and maybe give some folks some other options.
Not a bad deal.
Yeah, no, I mean it's we're always trying to match what our customers need.
I get it.
And
you definitely get what you pay for with these clutches,
right?
But not everyone. I
mean, just look at the box.
Yeah.
So when you buy a Mantic clutch right now, that's what you get. You get some nice.
You get a briefcase.
Nice hard foam that keeps everything safe in shipping, and
and
you got the bubbles of steel on the side.
Ah, yes.
The steel bubbles.
Steel bubble. No, actually, the other nice thing about our case is all of our stuff is rebuildable. You like it, you love it for 4 or 5 years, you wear it out. We'll send it back to us in the case. We rebuild it, get you a whole brand new
Yeah, I
clutch.
feel like this is something you'd throw away. I definitely would keep this thing.
I'd hope not. I would hope not. But yeah, that's that's one of the advantages to it.
That's true as well.
But yeah, the folks at home want to see. This is our triple for the GT 500. Like I said, I know you guys have moved quite a bit of these, and traditionally our kits come complete: bearing, alignment tool, spacer if it's needed. And I will stress, if we provide a spacer, use the blankety blank spacer. Don't call me 14 times a day. Are you sure Yes, we need it. And then the clutch itself, this one's still packed up in its paper, but see the pressure plate. I'm trying to see what I'm doing without seeing what I'm doing. So yeah, get in there, Matt.
There you go.
Here, just go sideways with it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's do that.
But then I can't see nothing.
No, then
you get to admire the back of the case.
Here, we'll turn it around so that they can't see.
Yes, perfect.
It's important people can see it.
But yeah, let's see. One of our
Some shiny metals.
pressure ring here, all made out of one chunk. Here, I'll let you hold and admire that.
Indeed.
And then here's one of our discs.
So what's special about your guys' clutch discs that
Everything.
set them apart from
come on,
the rest of the neighborhood?
Well, for one, it has 3 discs instead of 2, so it must be better.
It must be better. And there's a 4 disc I'm still working on.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a whole other
That's for the Supras.
bottle of Malox right there. So the biggest thing with our stuff, the most popular stuff, is our cerametallic disc, the cerametallic lining. And it's got a lot more heat capacity than the organic stuff. It holds more power, but it still drives really nice. Because even though this is a little more of an aggressive compound, it's still got some give to it. And then also, we'll try to show this if we're squared up there. We have a lot of cushion in our discs.
I was looking at that.
It kind of helps ease the engagement so that you've got a little bit more of a delta, if you will, between stop and go, which
It's less on and off.
And it's sprung
a
hub.
lot less on and off. And we probably talked about this the last time, but so the springs in the hub actually have nothing to do with drivability. Everybody thinks they do, and I get a bunch of questions, but what these are here for is to try to help keep things quiet. Because if you watched your engine or my engine or anybody's engine at idle, it doesn't turn very smoothly. It kind of speeds up, slows down. It's kind of jerky.
Yeah, it does this kind
It's
of
got
thing.
a bad harmonic to it. So ideally, these springs kind of absorb, and that kind of slowly releases that harmonic, and it tries to keep it out of the transmission. So it really just helps keep things quiet. So just kind of a nice thing to have.
I didn't know that.
So by that same token, are the springs tuned for a certain frequency of like engine speed?
Yeah, we're fortunate in that we pretty much play in the V8 world, and most of those engines, the 5.2 kind of being an exception because it's flat crank and it's a little different.
Yeah, it's a weird animal in
They
itself.
all kind of fall within a certain frequency range. So there's a pretty good chance that this is going to absorb what you need. Another trick we use too, and I'll tell people most of the time, if you start experiencing some noise, bring the idle RPM up. 1,000, 1,200. it smooths out the engine and it quiets everything down. So perfect world, you would take and you would tune this disc to the exact engine, but it takes a lot of time and money.
No one wants to do that.
It's one of those close enough type things.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys on the OE 2018 unit just how advanced that really is. And
that makes sense because I had an old SVT Focus with an aftermarket clutch in it, and it did not have these springs,
Solid
and
hub.
God, did it rattle
Yeah.
at idle.
Yep.
Like, I thought the transmission was broken.
And that's the thing. Everybody thinks there's something massively wrong, and it's nothing more than you're just hearing all the bad harmonics.
You're hearing the clutch basically shake
Oh,
on the input shaft.
it's not even the clutch. It's in the transmission.
Oh, got it.
All this will do is if it's a solid hub, it just shoots it right into the trans, and the synchros.
Oh, you're getting
the
the gear,
synchros
got
are
it.
banging around, and it can sound
Exactly what it
god-awful,
sounds
but-
like.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's in a panic, but in reality, it's not. It's really not hurting anything. It just sounds god awful. So if you buy the sprung hub, that usually eliminates most of that.
That works.
But yeah, like I said, this is kind of one of the more bread and butter things. I'm gonna go on a soapbox for a second. What's that, Carrie?
I was going to say you have a question here.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Fire when ready.
Gap Time would like to know which Mantic Clutch do you recommend for around 700 to the wheel on a 17 street car that does occasional roll racing. It's got 355 gears.
So it's going to be
So
an MT82 car.
MT82
MT82
355s, probably around a 27, 28 inch tall tire.
Probably. This Air Metallic Twin. It'll get it done. It'll drive nice. Should be pretty easy on stuff, but you're getting close to what the MT82 is going to like. The older ones seem to be pretty resilient to 650, 680. The newer ones, unfortunately, the new Mustangs, 18 and 19s, they get a little feisty at even 600.
They seem to be a bit
Yeah.
more Chinese than their previous models.
They seem to have.
I was
a little
thinking
more
about that. They have
understanding.
for the turbos, that's like the Nagasaki Noisy Boys. Well, we need to have, it needs to be like the Nagasaki Shifty Shifts or something for the MT82.
There is and I'll give one of my partners a big shout out. I'm sure you guys deal with a guy named Ben Calamer.
Yep.
Oh, God, yeah.
He does magical work with
He
the
does.
MT82.
I've seen a lot of impressive cars
Yeah.
with his transmissions in it. That's true.
And he's done the smartest things. If he's kind of like us, he's using better parts, using better in terms. And that's what we try to do too.
Right.
You know, we don't just send you a chunk of aluminum, here, wedge this where it goes. No, we machine the spacer and we actually make it to where it fits and functions and kind of does what it's supposed to do. So yeah, Ben definitely has a similar mindset as we do, which is nice. And I want to talk about one thing, if I can get on my soapbox for a second.
Yeah.
I've had a slew of questions and interest about a slew. Yes, a slew. I tell you. About the spacer on the bearing having an effect on how the clutch works. And honest to God, folks, all the spacer does is it moves the bearing closer or further away from the clutch. It doesn't push the fingers in. It doesn't make this move any.
Right.
It just moves it closer. So if you're having, everybody hits me up with a disengagement issue. Well, should I just shim it? Well, no, because if this is squeezed this far and you're pushing the pedal and it's only moving that far, it's not going to matter.
Right.
The closer you move it, the pedal's going to move it the same way. So 90% of the time, it's air in the system, or we've got an issue where somebody put a disc in wrong, or we've got a situation where the master's not happy. It's not
I've seen
stroking the
some
bearing.
some lines going bad, and the lines will balloon and absorb some of the pressure,
Yeah.
like brake lines, same thing.
Yep.
So like for those that don't know, when you have hydraulic clutch, you have a kind of like a slave master, which is kind of like a brake master cylinder that has a very specific fluid displacement per length of stroke.
Correct.
So when your pedal moves, you're displacing a specified amount of fluid.
Yep.
And the thing that interacts with that is these pressure plate fingers and the slave cylinder itself. So
it's going to be, let me see that pressure reading real quick. So on that. Let's do this here. So we'll set it up as it's actually going to be installed in the car. I know this is going to be kind of bad because we don't have a camera looking up, but you have to bear with us. So when this is all installed and everything's bolted up, the bearing's actually compressed about like that. So you're right. When you step on the pedal, you're forcing fluid into the slave, and it then pushes the fingers.
pushes against the trans on this surface and
Correct.
pushes this out towards the fingers.
And it moves the fingers. So if you've got air in the system, the air bubble is going to absorb to the point where it can before it moves the fingers.
Right.
Because technically fluids do not compress.
compress.
Air compresses.
Even if you squeeze them really tight.
So you have your clutch master creating pressure by displacing fluid, but instead of pushing
Right.
fluid, it's compressing air.
Well,
Right, so-
yeah, if you got a bubble in there, it's just
So
gonna
instead
compress
of
the
like
air.
an inch of travel, you might only end up with 3/4 of an inch of travel because
Right.
some of that is air.
So you have a
getting
clutch that
compressed.
isn't actually disengaging properly.
Right. So if you're having a disengagement issue and you've seen everything, and we've got a couple videos on our YouTube channel as well. What you can do, you can always assume whether it's a twin or a triple of ours, you need to move these fingers about 400. Okay. So if you're having an issue, you can go on the car, you go on the face of the transmission, you can press your bearing all the way, you can put a dial indicator on here,
All right.
and then have somebody step on the pedal and see how far it moves. If you're only getting like 320, then you know you've got air in the system or there's a
Right.
defective master, it's not moving this far enough. Now I will caution everybody, you hold this technical term son bitch all the way back. 'Cause
Yes.
if you just step on it, you'll pop it right off of there. And
Yeah,
back
like
to square
let's say
one.
your full travel or full extension up, and then
Yeah.
you hit the pedal.
It's gonna pop it right up. This
Yeah.
is as far as it can go.
So
Right.
you want to show them the lip where it stops and where it'll push past.
Yep.
You see how you have a little tapered, almost like a tapered seat right there.
Yep.
If you push past that, this thing's going to have a very bad time.
Yep.
You're
it's
going to lose the seal on the little internal O-rings.
Yep.
And it's either going to piss fluid everywhere and get you in the eye with brake fluid,
Probably get you right in the eye.
or it's going to pop off.
It's all fun until it goes right in the eye. Telling you
So
boys.
if-
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Brad wants to know, how do these clutches hold up to slipping off the line over time?
Well, like any clutch, whether it's ours, whether it's an organic clutch, a cerametallic, or a drag racing clutch, anytime you slip it off the line, you're just inducing wear. You're adding a lot of heat, you're adding a lot of force because you're trying to get as much traction as you can. So it will negatively affect the life of the clutch. Now, our stuff holds up pretty well, but that being said, if you've got a twin, I've got a twin, you got a twin, we're
Yeah.
all in the same car, we're all going to drive it differently.
Right.
Yours is going to last a week because I'm awesome. Mine's going to last 12 years.
Right.
Yours is probably going to last 3 years. It's hard to say.
Right.
But yeah,
You hear that, Joe? I drive better than you. Just saying.
and that was all based on, actually, if I was based on beard length.
No.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah, that's
I don't
you and me
know
are
if
in
Captain
trouble.
Swatchy Beard wants to play that game.
Hey.
But all along those same lines, like so what do you have to worry about when slipping the clutch? Because when we're dealing with a slipping clutch, in a sense, a clutch is a device that has a
wear
means.
item,
Exactly. Which when you're slipping it, it generates heat. When it generates heat,
You start breaking down the friction material.
exactly, and you
start
start
warping
breaking
the
down
plates.
would it be the glue or the adhesive that holds the material together?
It's a bonding agent, and I mean this stuff. Obviously, I couldn't tell you the PSI, which everything's actually compacted together, but obviously it's pretty high. But yeah, the important thing to remember is the tires and the clutch are the wear items in your driveline.
Right.
Ideally, you want to wear the tires out first because that's easy and cheap. Secondly, it's the clutch, and then thirdly, it starts to come.
So that being said, if you, I mean, let's face it, you got a clutch, you're gonna have to slip it to a certain extent off the line so it doesn't, so you're not bogging or whatever. So that being said, as long as you're letting the clutch cool down,
cooling down between sessions,
that would
is
help
huge.
tremendously.
It's hard to get this thing to cool down.
Yeah,
And
because it's
that's
sandwiched
So that's
between
where
a
you
hot
gotta
engine
kind
and
of-
a hot transmission.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's sandwiched between two really hot things, 3 if you count the pipes coming out, and it doesn't really have a lot of airflow.
That's true. as
So,
well.
as dumb as it would sound to strap a leaf blower to the bell housing, that would actually help your cause.
If you were
could-
really running
Yeah.
that,
hard,
and if
yeah.
you were cognizantly slipping it.
And that's the thing too. Like, if you can do a half-second slip to get the tires to bite and go, you're going to get a better ET, and it's going to.
Yeah.
It's hard with every car and how your chassis is working. It's a cumulative kind of thing. So sorry, Brad, for the long answer, but try to slip it as little as you need to. But it'll hold up for quite a while.
But they are designed to do it.
They're designed to take some of it, and we have more rambunctious options if that's what you really need to do. What else you got there, Gary? Sorry.
Poor boy wants to know, Mantic, do you offer free rebuild as long as you send it back in the case?
Unfortunately, no. Now, if you would like to just stuff some dollar bills in the case. Just fill that with packing material. That will offset the rebuild cost considerably.
Yeah, and if you pack it with the right amount, you might not even have to come out of pocket
This
beyond
is
that.
true. This is true. It's having PM me. We'll work out a deal.
Daryl would like to know, I have a 6R80 with a McLeod RTX twin disc. Would the Mantic be better?
Well, of course I'm gonna tell you it's better. I mean, I'm dumb, but I'm not stupid. We need some more, information. Is it gonna hold more power? Possibly. Is it gonna drive better? Probably, definitely. Is it gonna cost you a little more? Yes,
Yeah,
it probably
I'm
will.
gonna say they're almost priced in two different.
Yeah, and we're gonna,
categories.
like I say, we get the white box up here. We're gonna try to close that gap a little bit. But the thing too, and nothing against McLeod or any of the other press cover designs, but the reason our stuff is a little pricier is we offer a little better components. It's a billet cover, it's billet drive blocks.
Yeah.
It's machine steel plates. We're not using any castings. We're not using any stampings. It's just a little bit.
Yeah,
nicer
generally a
stuff.
thin stamped cover like a McLeod or a factory clutch, that's gonna flex, and
Correct.
whenever you're
Correct.
you're beating on it, you're gonna get distortion there, stuff like that. So that's
And
gonna.
it's a little harder to rebuild the stuff because then you're taking apart a riveted cover, and there's just some other complications to it. So nothing wrong with it, just a little different way to do it.
David Ray says the Mantic 9000 series is $500 more than the McLeod RST. Tell why it is that much better, and please talk about clutch rattle and chatter, and if I will have any with the Mantic 9000.
Okay. So one thing to point out too, all of our stuff, with the exception of the white boxes, which we're talking about stuff and just a little better components. So
And some of the McLeods don't come with a flywheel, specifically like
Correct.
the GT500 clutches. They bolt a kind of like an adapter plate or the whole entire clutch assembly
Yep.
to the factory flywheel. So in some cases, you're getting a flywheel and a slave cylinder included in the price of the entire
Right.
clutch kit.
Right.
And that's been kind of our thing. We try to offer a complete solution. Now we'll talk about rattle and chatter, which are two very different issues.
Yes.
So chatter in SAE clutch speak is the actual engagement property of the clutch, and that's when you
Right.
feel it kind of like shaking. Right. It
That's
doesn't
the
want
equivalent of tire shake in a clutch.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a really
Right,
good analogy.
it's grabbing and then it's grabbing and slipping
Yep.
at a very fast rate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different things that will cause that. In a new clutch, like you open ours up, put it in there, our stuff needs to be bed in for about 300, 500 miles of just stop and go to get the friction surfaces all kind of smooth,
Right.
knock off any high spots. But more importantly, you're trying to transfer some of the friction material goodness to all the steel surfaces in the clutch. You get a nice uniform coefficient of friction across the whole thing,
Yep.
makes it work better, and it increases the torque capacity. So you go out and cold gun it once you've put it in. Well, you've got 60% of the torque capacity.
Right.
You bed it in. Now you're back to where you need to
Right.
be. So, like I say, chatter per se is that physical attribute of how the clutch engages.
And also, to cut you off, from personal experience, a lot of chatter is from flywheel or clutch plate contamination. People with their
not
greasy
using-
fingerprints.
Yep.
Or
Greasy-
not using brake clean to clean
Right.
the oils and protective
Yeah, greasy
greases off of
fingerprints
it.
and anti-seize and face prints because it fell on you and
Fell
stuff,
on you.
whatever.
What's
So-
awesome is I've
Or you're
gotten
holding it like this while you're trying to
Right.
bolt it on, and you
Yeah.
don't clean it up
And that'll
after.
cause hot spots in it. So I know that one from what I've
And-
seen that. So making sure everything is extremely clean when you're putting it together
Right.
will drastically help with
And
chatter.
I'll go so far to make a note. Everybody wants to slather some miracle goo on the
Yeah.
input splines, which I detest. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Because it's going to sling it off.
It's going to sling it off onto the clutch, and that's all bad.
Yep.
The other thing too, I mean, these are dry fit splines. They were designed to function and slide as a dry unit. Now, granted, you want to get everything nice and clean when you go to put it back together, because any
Don't want all that compacted clutch dust
Correct.
sitting
I
would
inside
say-
the shaft.
Clutch dust is going to build up anyway.
yeah.
Thing. So Aiden's on the line and has said hi several times. So
Hey, dude.
Has to say
My
hi.
son.
He said
Your
he said
son's
hi
echoing
to
you?
you. He said what's up. He said hi Joe, and then he's
Wow.
asking if you can turn a gas car to an electric car to a gas car, and then he
Absolutely.
came back
Sure.
I can do anything I want.
on. So
I got
anyway,
clutches for that. The kid also asked who's a strange lady sitting between these two.
Yeah, no.
Robert wants to know, hello VMP team, what power levels do the 1314 GT500 clutches hold, and when do you want to change them out?
Okay, so our twin disc is good for 1,000 at the crank, figure about 820 at the tires. Depending on the vehicle, it's going to vary a little bit. But
Right.
the triples like we have here are good for 1,500 at the crank, which equates to about 1220. But I think you guys...
Lots of broken
You guys
MPAs.
had what's that?
Lots of broken transmissions.
Possibly some broken transmissions at that point. But
We've had GT500s that have exceeded that.
Yeah.
you guys have made some good power with them. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like once it's bedded in, and if it's done on a roll or if it's done on a dyno, and you kind of sneak up to it, it'll hold. It'll hold well beyond what's supposed to. But
You definitely want to make sure the clutch is up to temp before you beat on it.
yeah,
Yeah,
A
there's
cold
that
clutch
too.
does not grip nearly as well as a
it likes to have
up to temp.
It likes to have a little bit of temperature in it.
I've always told people that too. If the clutch is rated at 800 foot-pounds, that doesn't mean at 801 it's going to slip.
Right.
It just means that as you start getting near that and then finally crossing over that, the life expectancy is going to drastically start nosing off.
You're getting close to what it can handle. And,
Right.
And the other thing too is the way the cars make power makes a difference too.
The ramp rate of torque.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly
Yeah.
it. Because if it's instant, it's really making life difficult for the clutch to handle that. you
Like
know?
our blowers.
No, the blowers are good. No, the blowers are actually the smoother way to do it.
The turbos that transition from 200 pound-feet to 700 within
8,000.
1,000 RPM.
Right. It's even quicker than that.
Yeah.
Or, like the nitrous.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you pour nitrous on it, it's a whole other deal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
we do
true.
the best we can do, but just nature of the beast.
So D-Man Dimitri told me to tell you, Joe, Promised Land.
Ooh, my man.
Thomas Clark says, just ordered my 18 Mustang clutch Saturday. Can't wait until Friday when it gets here.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on.
Hold on, there's some more Mantic questions here. Poor Boy says, can't wait to get my Mantic. And then says, what's going on with the ported CJ and Boss dyno shoot? And for schnitz and giggles, why not do a dyno run with the hood shut?
We can.
Can.
That's not me, though. Don't talk to me about that. Justin's the one that's been doing all the manifold testing. But along the lines of people wanting to purchase Mantic clutches, should we tell them about the fancy thing we're doing for the people?
That's what I was going to hit
Yeah,
on
I'm
next.
all
yes.
about stuff for the people.
We are doing
I
stuff
really
with
am.
people. That is true.
So if you buy, what's the time frame on it?
So starting tomorrow for 24 hours only, we're offering a special on Mantic clutches. All Mantic clutches will be 15% off with the code ManticTT, which means Mantic Tuning Tuesday. So Mantic TT, starting tomorrow, 15% off of all Mantic clutches on our website.
And speaking generally, that's probably going to be the best deal you're going to get on a Mantic clutch for a while.
For quite a
from
while.
us.
For quite a while. From
15% on that expensive
So,
of a clutch is a lot.
After the show this afternoon, we will do a post on our channels so that way it's out there, starting tomorrow for 24 hours only.
So like if you can, dip into that piggy bank over there.
crack it open
Flip
now.
the couch over, get the change out from under the
Exactly,
cushions.
exactly.
Can fit a lot of change in these for rebuilds. It's happening.
You know someone's going to send you a...
It's just going to be a roll of pennies
Yeah,
all
just
the way
stacked.
up.
Somebody will ship you pennies, watch.
Thomas Clark said, can you comment on the 567 people on the forums with the 18 plus having issues and some taking them off to go with another clutch brand?
Absolutely. Here's what we're going to
Ooh.
do. We're going to
Here we go.
compare the 18s. If you guys will give us a second, that's probably a
You
good
want me to grab
segue
one?
to. Yeah, why don't we switch things out and let's talk about that. Let's have this out. I'm more than ready at this point.
He said, come at me, bro.
That's pretty much. Hey, let me throw these in here.
Trying to catch these hands.
Jesus.
Free.
Just don't hurt
Free
yourself.
on Marketplace.
Exactly.
These hands, free.
That's good stuff. Just don't hurt yourself, Joe.
I'll try not to.
It's too early in the day
Lift
for an
with-
injury. and
He's
Lift with my
keyboard
back.
hands.
lift only
And
with
only
your
a
back.
twisting, jerking
Exclusively.
motion helps
Yes.
a
Yeah,
lot.
very quickly.
Pop and lock.
Look
Pop,
at
lock, and
that.
drop.
Be real careful with that one.
That's a
Because that one's pretty
fancy.
heavy.
It's a heavy.
Yeah.
What was that, like 38 pounds, 45 pounds?
Well,
This
it's lighter
one?
than that thing.
Yeah.
This one's about 70 something.
Oh, man.
If I remember right. So, okay.
We got towels too.
Lovers and haters of the internet. Okay,
Or
so
here, we got more room on this side.
we got a little more room. I'm gonna slide that over that way. Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, so this is the OE 2018-2019 clutch assembly. And what's important to note, I don't know how well you guys can see it, is this is a dual mass flywheel. Now, as the name implies, it's actually made in 2 parts. I'm gonna blow everybody's mind here.
Yep.
See how we can move
The old Focuses were like that.
Yep, a lot of
Same
cars.
thing.
A lot of cars are like this. So the great thing about this is this absorbs a wide range of frequencies. Keeps everything very quiet. Okay, it's very expensive to develop because you have to tune it per the engine and trans, and it's also rather expensive to manufacture, and it's also very heavy, as you found out. So the heaviness and the expense are really not what we're looking for on the performance side.
Right.
So what we've done is we obviously lighten things up quite a bit. You can see here.
Yeah.
This is.
It's a shame you're not going to see it again.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, take your picture with it when it goes in. But yeah, this is an all aluminum flywheel. I'll flip it over like this so we can see it. And
Man,
you guys
fancy.
can verify. I'm really pretty much a weakling, so for me to flip this thing around makes it.
I can
seem
tell
like
you
it's a
after
little
picking the 2 up to put them up here, that one was a lot easier to pick up and put on the table.
So
Well, that equals horsepower by itself.
See?
exactly.
Rotating mass.
The upside is so much less rotating mass. It's a performance advantage, which is great. The downside is the NVH, or the noise
Vibration.
Vibration.
Noise,
Right.
vibration,
hillbillies.
harshness.
and hillbillies on rare occasions.
Exactly.
They usually stick to the Camaro world. But anyway,
Correct.
I'm a Dodge guy, I can't talk. So what we're seeing, what we're experiencing is you switch over to this in your 1819, tacks up quick, drives nice, that's great, but starts making racket. And that's simply because we've reduced the mass so much, all the bad harmonics are just rattling the transmission. And it's a transmission that's already susceptible to noise anyway, just kind of because of its innate design. So that's really what we think is going on. I personally did the install on 2 cars, and they were silent when we did it. And then we adjusted the RPMs up a little bit for the drivability side, and we didn't really have any issues. So I think what we're finding is there's definitely a noise issue out there. And here, if I remember correctly, I think the McLeod unit actually bolts up to the dual mass flywheel.
I was just going to ask that. Is there
I think it
someone
does.
else that uses the factory dual mass flywheel? And if, like for example, if McLeod does, then yeah, that's probably going to be a quieter clutch, but not as good.
But not as, yeah, but you're sacrificing noise for a weight penalty, unfortunately.
That
So,
and this steel flywheel alone versus that, do you know what the weight difference is between the factory dual mass flywheel and the aluminum
I want to
flywheel?
say we gain or lose in this case. I want to say it's almost 20 pounds between the flywheels.
Jeez, 20
If
pounds
not,
of rotating
I think
mass
it's
is
even a little,
tremendous.
I think it's a little more actually.
That's basically like from going from a steel drive shaft to a carbon drive shaft.
Oh, even more so because
Yeah.
it's mass. We took mass out on the further reaches. So
Yeah, that's true too.
the further out
Distance from
you-
center.
Correct, correct. So that's kind of what we think is going on there. Also, this clutch will hold 1,000 foot-pounds. The transmission, the newer MT82s, we think are only good for about 600 and some. So you make a couple power pools, you've probably, and Calimer could chime in and call me a liar here, but you've probably loosened up or tweaked the synchro some. So now there's more gap,
Right.
and it's going to rattle even more. So that's my current answer right now. We're actually pulling another car into our shop, and we're going to do a little more extensive testing on it to see if we can find, maybe we have to add a little bit of mass to this to help out.
Maybe
it's
we
not
can-
really what I
maybe
want
a
to
Kind
fair
of like
do.
a
trade-off.
buffer or something.
Right. And it might be something as, okay, we add 7 pounds to it. Yeah, that's not awful. Maybe that's something that we look to do. But yeah, we had the 18s out. We were almost first to market with the 18 stuff. And like I said, I personally bolted it up. I can give you the numbers of people who can verify for my whereabouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we found is going on with the newer cars.
Nastang says, hey Jeff, some GT350 guys are starting to do some big NA builds, heads, cams, finally, and they want to carry over 8,200 RPM. Would a white box be able to handle 8,500 plus in road race applications?
Yeah, so the white box you're getting, and we'll show that here in a little bit too, you're getting the exact same clutch that's in the case, exact same flywheel that's in the case. The difference with our white boxes, no case, sorry Coke dealers, and no hydraulic bearing, because we're trying to get the comprehensive cost out of our
I got
kit,
it.
so that when you're looking at some other brands, we're kind of coming into that.
Got it.
We were trying to use the tagline, bill it on a budget, but it hasn't quite stuck yet. So that's kind of our approach.
That
there.
makes sense, too.
As far as the RPM range, that should not be a problem because it's a lot lighter stuff. If you're doing more pure road racing, or if it's a really road racing focused car, I'd probably switch to the solid hubs just because it'll speed up your shifting a little bit, and it also help you heel toeing when you're coming back down, which all equates to time on track. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
Redline Riot says my boss sometimes won't go in all the way in first gear, and when it doesn't, when you let off the clutch, the shifter shakes violently. And if you push the clutch in and let it back out, it's in first. He says he just put a 13 Boss Trans with 3,000 miles and brand new OEM clutch, and I get no high RPM lockout. Synchros are all good and have been looked, I guess he gets locked out. Could it be throwing out a bearing? He says it just doesn't feel smooth going in like the MT82 should.
Okay. Couple possibilities. I hate to beat the dead horse of air in the system, but air in the system will pretty much wreck your day. Could be he's just not getting the same throw from the master. If the master's worn and it's not displacing enough fluid, that could do it too. How many miles does he have on the new setup?
He said 3,000
3 on the
miles.
trans,
3,000.
but that doesn't
on
mean
the
he changed
trans,
the.
but I don't know. Yeah.
That doesn't mean he changed the master cylinder or the slave cylinder.
But I wonder if he may still have a high spot on the clutch disc itself. Even if it's not ours, it's possible. It happens across the board. So he may just need to try.
Yeah,
to get
generally,
some
if you
on.
have only a problem going to first, it's usually it's not a disengagement
Yeah.
issue all the way.
I will say, as far as clutch issues go, if it doesn't want to go into first, doesn't want to go into reverse,
Yeah.
or if the car feels like it jumps forward.
Yeah, or if you're putting it into first and the car tries to roll itself.
Right.
Or you hear the rear end load up when your foot's all the way on the floor.
Yeah, that's always a comforting.
Like a clunk when you go into gear.
He just said throw out bearing and master cylinder and slave have 69,000 miles on them.
It's possible you got a little wear there, but
It might be time.
I would suspect air in the system. Tell him if he wants to pull a vacuum on the master like overnight and see if that'll pull anything out of there, or unfortunately disassemble and bench bleed the slave.
That's my favorite thing to do when doing clutches.
Absolutely.
And I say
Sorry,
that
man.
only because I say that legitimately, my favorite thing to do, because I find that a lot of people that are replacing clutches don't bench bleed the slave, and it's like,
He said
if you know how the slave truly works, it makes no sense to not bench bleed the slave.
The
Right.
million pumps doesn't move the bubble. It chases it back and forth wherever it's stuck.
You got to bench bleed it, run the line, basically disconnect the line from the slave master, keep it to where don't pump the pedal while the slave master is disconnected. But
because if you run the master dry, then you're trapping air up in there.
exactly.
he says it doesn't jump forward. It just doesn't want to go into first all the way sometimes, but other times it goes in smoothly. So
Factory shifter or
MGW.
check the adjustment on that. Probably just not getting enough physical throw with the shifter. Because as you're trying to shorten up the throw to make it quicker, sometimes you hurt yourself, and especially if it's hard to differentiate first, third, and fifth. That's
possible.
or I guess it'd be sixth.
The thing that bugs me is that he says it's easier the second time. So once everything's
Once
lined
everything-
up,
It
it
seems
goes
like he's
right
got
in.
everything lined up. Yeah.
Yep. Good point. Something else I'll mention too on the slave bleeding. So, okay, you've bench bled it. We have a video on our YouTube channel too. I think you've actually seen that one. So you've bench bled it. You've put it together. One of the best things to do before you pump the pedal is physically depress the bearing all the way and force fluid and air back up into the reservoir. I'll let it suck it back in there.
Yeah, that's true.
That way, I do that on.
Or you can vacuum. I've always vacuumed.
You can vac it too. It just takes a while. The C7 Corvettes are notorious for trapping air, even though they have a bleed port. Every one I've ever done, I've squished the bearing flat, pushed the fluid up. I've never had an issue. So
Good to know.
yeah.
After you replace the clutch, do you need to do a crank lean or relearn?
It's always smart to, but I'll tell you, it hasn't always been necessary.
Yes, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think it. I don't know. I don't know why it's so particular, but
5 liter, do a crank relearn. GT500, not absolutely necessary, but in my opinion, not a bad idea. GT500, 4.6 Cobra, all that stuff, run a trigger wheel on the front of the crank. So generally only have to do crank relearns on GT500s when you've done a lower pulley swap. And then the 5 liters, if you've removed the flywheel, do a crank relearn.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just good service procedure, regardless of whether or not you remove the flywheel. If you played with the clutch, just do a crank relearn. It takes literally, once it's up to temp, it takes like 15 seconds to do a crank relearn. To me, there's no good excuse to not do one.
And that's important to say at temperature because the trans fluid is
I think
hot,
whether or not it
everything's-
throws a code is just by sheer luck on when you put that reluctor wheel back on, however,
And that
because it's got
16th
that.
of an inch you can turn.
Yeah,
the
it's got a
wheel.
little bit of play in it.
Isn't that upsetting? It's like,
I
I
think
don't
it just boils down to if yours from the factory was clocked to the back and you happen to put it back onto the back, it's not enough to piss it off.
Yeah.
Basically, is
Yeah.
what I think is the thing.
Sinspot said, I spoke to Ace at Shelby Fest, and when I asked them about Mantic, they said that they make some of the parts for in your clutch system. Is that true? And how do you compare to them on the triples?
So what we'll do is when we do like a centered iron drag clutch, we'll buy our discs from Ace because they've got the best product out there in my opinion. So when we're doing, like I say, a fully dedicated drag car, yeah, we use the Ace discs. Good guys over there, like working with them. Honestly, I think as far as the street stuff, it's probably pretty comparable. I think we're both kind of doing kind of a similar theory.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, and don't crucify me for this one, I think they might be using round drive blocks, and I thought they still might have been using a strap with their intermediate plate, but don't quote me on that. But Ace guys are good guys; they make nice stuff. So I can't say anything bad there at all.
My engagement point of my clutch is about 2 inches off the top of my pedal on a 12 GT500. Do I need to change my clutch?
It's getting there.
Is it R clutch or an OE clutch?
It didn't say.
If it's the OE clutch, it's probably getting pretty close. So the best way to explain that, so when everything's installed, these fingers are at a certain height. And as you wear the discs, you wear the plates, the fingers are going to rise, which is going to push the bearing back a little bit. And that's going to make the engagement point rise on the pedal. And that's how you know it's getting close. If you sneeze on the pedal and it disengages, it's about done. New clutches, and I've had questions like this, and it's pretty much across the board because it's how the systems are designed. Brand new clutch, pedal's going to be about an inch and a half off the floor when
And
it
then
first
it'll
starts.
come up a little bit as
It'll
it
come up
breaks in.
about a quarter of an inch as it breaks in, maybe a little more, and then it'll steadily keep coming up as it wears.
Got
And
it.
shouldn't that vary based on the installed height of the bearing versus the pressure plate fingers?
Well, we keep the pressure plate fingers within a pretty tight tolerance. So that really won't affect it. And also, again, kind of like the spacer, the bearing's going to sit where it's going to sit. The pedal's going to move at the same amount each time. So you're still moving the fingers the same amount, and it's going to be about the same engagement point. So it's going to, I hate to say it's going to kind of magically be in the same spot. It's going to kind of magically be in the same spot. What changes it is how much these have to move before it releases
Right.
the discs.
Okay.
So as they get worn, it takes less travel to release them, and the pedal moves up.
Is no lift shifting detrimental to the clutch, and does a watt box help with the wear of the clutch?
Yeah, actually, no lift shifting is great for me because you never touch the clutch. Does some horrible things to your transmission if you mess it up, but hey.
I think he's
I'm in
talking
it.
about not letting off the gas, but still.
No, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. No, it doesn't hurt the clutch at all because the clutch
Okay.
stays engaged. Kind of like an earlier question we were talking about, slipping the clutch off the line.
Right.
When you're trying to transition that power, that's what wears out the clutch.
Yeah.
When you're just no lift shifting, the clutch stays engaged. It never separates.
So when the pressure plate speed, flywheel speed, and center of disc speed all matches, you're technically not doing any damage or wear to the clutch.
Nope. And it actually has more, the clutch will have more static torque capacity than dynamic or slipping torque capacity. And that's just the laws of friction right
He
there.
says stock. He came back and said stock.
Whoa, which guy?
I think that was the guy where you asked.
Oh,
him.
the guy just before my engagement point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's probably getting close. He's probably getting close. I mean, sure, I'd love to tell him to buy 2, but that's a little excessive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 if you're going to go that route.
Might as well. They make great bookends. But yeah, the no lift shifting, it really doesn't hurt. Similarly, for any of the road race guys, if you get better at heel towing or left foot braking, if you're a Formula Car driver, that's easier on the clutch too, because again, you're not
Matching
disengaging.
engine speed to input shaft speed
Exactly.
reduces the amount of wear on clutch.
Exactly.
And synchros.
And yeah, and synchros too. So, and that's the thing, like, so For the transmission to shift, all it needs to see is a reduction in load in the drivetrain. Whether you lift off the throttle,
Or you're pulling spark.
you're pulling spark, or you're hitting the clutch, it essentially takes all load off the synchros. They get to the happy point and it jumps into gear.
Which
And
is
in
what
a perfect world, you have no positive or negative torque
Right.
being applied. You're right at 0, and it should right in like
That's
that.
a tuner right there.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
it.
honestly, it's the same concept as the torque management in your automatic transmissions. It's
Exactly.
removing torque to allow the clutches to bite, and
Right.
then
And
it's
then
the same concept.
Phase in at the
Exact
same
same.
time.
Yeah.
Is the organic Mantic clutch a little better for a stock MT82, and is the ceramic too much?
Not really better from a friction material standpoint. It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other. The nicer thing is, and this is something we were actually talking about at lunch, so the organic material has a lower maximum clamp load, or torque capacity. So in an effort to save the MT82, if we know it's vulnerable to about 600 foot-pounds, well, guess what? The Mantic clutch is good for about 600 foot-pounds in the
got
organic.
it.
So if you're going to get close to that, you don't want to hurt the trans, you go with the organic, and if you make more power than the trans is going to handle, then the clutch will do its job. It'll be the limiting factor, and it'll save
The
the
clutch
trans.
will act like a fuse.
The clutch will act like a fuse.
It's kind of
Exactly.
like tires act like a fuse when you have a drivetrain that's not up
Yeah.
to par. Just put a
Exactly.
really slippery tire on it.
Yeah.
You won't hurt the drivetrain.
Put a solid snow tire.
And
on it,
organic
you'll
is
be
not gonna be as aggressive. It's not gonna bite as hard or as fast. I would think, right?
Engagement points are similar between
Oh, okay.
the two. The ceramic does have a little more coefficient of friction, so yes, it does have, but it's not so drastic that you'd really feel it per se.
So
Right.
would it be the static amount of friction that it has as compared to like a dynamic friction?
It's actually both, because the coefficient is higher on the cerametallic, so both instances will be higher. But you're right. An organic as a whole versus a cerametallic as a whole has less torque capacity, whether it's dynamic or the static. But again, just because the coefficient of friction's a little
Yeah.
higher. So yeah, good
Great.
question though. Great
Try.
question. Yeah.
Brandon would like you to recommend an organic clutch.
Wow. The Mantic organic. I mean, come on, Brandon. What do you? Whoa.
They only have one, right?
Yeah.
we don't have
Which-
discount code for nothing, guys.
I know, right? What? Which vehicles he?
He did not say. He just said, would you recommend an organic clutch?
For less than 600 foot-pounds, yes.
Sure. I mean, hey. if
So
you're
then
making
just
800,
qualify your statement. If you're under 600 pound-feet of torque with a starting line ratio of 22 to 1,
buy them all day. And that's the thing. Like, our organic has kind of gotten overshadowed by the cerametallics, just because the cerametallic is a lot better friction material. But no, the organic is it's really probably one of the better ones out there, because again, we use a little better components. We use a little better organic compound than what the OEs use. So yeah, buy the organics all day from VMP tomorrow, 24 hours.
I'm going to ask
Get
a
'em while they're
question that I don't think anyone else is going to ask, because I don't know if it's going to come up. Most of our customers have hydraulic clutches. How do you feel about electronically controlled, kind of like launch control devices for
okay.
clutches, to
Good
make
question.
slip time consistent and launch consistent in
Ooh,
manual
I
cars?
like it, Joe.
Well,
I see what you're doing there.
So the first misnomer is none of the electric ones that I have seen and tested actually mitigate the time differential for letting it slip. What they do is they act like line lock. They just hold the pedal and you hit it and it releases. It's just the same as side
Some of
step.
them have controlled bleeds, though, but even then, I don't think it's.
And the problem there, I've yet to see where perfect world.
Could you do like a pulse width modulated solenoid that controls the bleed off?
you
That'd
could-
be.
It's,
it'd have to be
this
pretty
is
quick.
one of those things that
Yeah.
I've seen several
like
people
it,
take
yeah.
a swing at, and it's never really stuck.
What I think I would do, and it may or may not be something that we offer, is you need a simple hydraulic switching valve, 2 paths. You set it once for the launch, and it feeds the fluid through an orifice that you could adjust to
Yeah.
get the right amount of slip, because that would delay how long the
Right.
fingers are
You're controlling the pressure bleed.
Well, it's more like fluid flow. It's
Right.
how much can get out of there and how quick. The instant you launch it, and the instant that the clutch is out, the solenoid automatically switches over to straight through.
So power it
because
off
you
a
want
skip
it to be
shift
quick.
solenoid.
Yeah, you could almost do that. But
'Cause
like I said, the key would be the actual hydraulic valve to differentiate. Okay, I'm in launch mode. I only want to slip this thing once, because you
Right.
don't want to slip it up through the Challengers and the Hellcats.
Yep.
we actually make a modification to the bearing because it has a smaller orifice in there, and it'll kill our clutch. Because they did that to slow how fast it comes out, to preserve the factory one, but it's not what you want.
I didn't know that. I don't get too many of those.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask you guys if you're getting those in, but
Well, I do a bunch of them. I tune a bunch of them, but I don't.
Okay.
We usually it's A8 everything. I
Yeah.
think I've only done like 4 manuals.
yeah, we've had the Hellcat clutch out for about 3 years, and we're gaining sales, but yeah, there are more. Go ahead, Gary.
We have about 14 minutes left. I wanted to reiterate the sale for those that came on late.
Mantic TT.
So, right, starting tomorrow for 24 hours, 15% off Mantic clutches on our website with the code ManticTT as a reminder. And I do have some comments and questions related to clutches that I want to try and get in there real quick. Daniel Ramsey says, "What's up, Jeff?"
Oh, yeah.
He says, "I love your Mantic clutches." Daniel Ramsey from Stang Magazine.
Thank you, Dan.
Magical.
Saucy Chalupe says, "Met the Mantic guys at Texas 2K. Awesome group of people. Which Mantic clutch would you recommend? Organic or ceramic? Twin disc. Car is NA with a Cobra Jet. Seeing quarter mile and Mexico often. Thanks."
He doesn't say how much power he's making, huh?
He does
Well,
not.
it's naturally aspirated. It can't be that much. No offense.
Yeah,
No offense.
He's probably whipping on it pretty good. If he's got the budget, just do the Cerametallic. It gives you a little bit of cushion. He's probably not. He's probably not going to be breaking anything anyway. So yeah, man, run the better clutch. Hit me up for whatever lies I might have told you at the T2K, and I'll help you out.
Chris says, "Please tell us again about the new clutch, the new car's clutch, and what's going on 1819 cars."
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, so what we had
Wiggle,
talked
wiggle,
about.
wiggle,
Yeah,
wiggle.
yeah. So what we're doing is we're replacing a dual mass unit, which is very heavy, and as Joe showed, absorbs a lot of the harmonics coming from the engine. Well, our option's a lot lighter, and it's a single mass unit, so it's transmitting a lot more of the engine harmonics through the trans, and that's what's causing a lot of the noise issues that we're starting to hear. Usually a simple raise in the idle makes it go away, makes it shift smoother at idle, going into first and reverse and all that stuff. So,
This one's made for crybabies.
wow.
This one's
This
made
one's
for men.
made for people that want to go fast.
Well, the clutch is growing a beard.
See, look at it. It's got hair on its chest. You see
Clean
it?
that up, buddy. Anyway, but yeah, that's kind of the nutshell of why we're seeing the noise in the newer cars. You're basically replacing a very heavy shock absorber with a very taut one, and that's kind of what's going on.
Specifically designed to keep you happy from a noise standpoint. Specifically designed to keep you happy from a live long and prosper standpoint.
Live long and drive
smiles.
fast. Yes, the giggle factor.
Smiles per mile.
Tyler says, "I have a 17 GT with the Whipple Gen 3 Stage 1 with the MGW shifter, stock clutch, and transmission. Would your twin disc clutch be overkill? I have 630 to the wheel with 500 foot-pounds of torque. I don't track my car, only street driving, and I don't ever launch my car as I still have stock half shafts. Thanks."
Yeah, he would be fine to run the organic, even though he's he's making a little more power than what it would handle. He's got a little bit of threshold. He'd probably be okay. Again, if you want to go with the Cerametallic, it's not overkill. You're going to have a little more clutch capacity than maybe what you need.
Right.
But that will in turn equate to some more longevity of the clutch. And another thing to mention too, so if you're on the fence, you go with the organic, you like it, you love it, but you wear it out a little too soon because you're making too much power, you send it back to us, we can rebuild it and upgrade it to a Cerametallic for a lot less than buying a new one.
There you go.
Again, everything is rebuildable, so you got some options.
Keep the box.
Especially if you fill the box with cash, possibly foreign currency, Bitcoin, whatever.
Colombian currency.
Dave
Colombian.
Frank says, "A lot of good info here, y'all. Thank you."
No problem.
Problemo.
And then PJ McMillan said, "Most educational show so far, guys. Nice work.
Wow.
Now, Joe, go turn up the spark table on my tune."
He needs more specs.
Sam says, "What's the horsepower rating of that clutch?"
This one?
So, do clutches hold horsepower or do they hold torque?
They hold torque. And remember, people, horsepower is a function of torque, which is a fancy mathematical nomenclature for saying that horsepower is kind of a made-up number, but it's a number that does exist. Clutches hold torque. Torque is what gets it done. It moves you down the road. 600 on the organic, 1,000 on the Cerametallic at the crank.
And that rating on clutch holding capacity, how is that rating generated? Is that generated off like a, do you guys have an electric motor running off a frequency controller at a constant speed and then apply and disengage to determine
Yeah,
like
you
where it can
ideally
stop?
you ideally do it two ways. You do a dynamic like that, which usually you do it just with an engine or an actual car because it's just easier. It'd be great to have a stepper motor and do it that way. It'd be a big stepper motor, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a traction motor right there.
yeah, exactly. The other way you do it too is you do it statically, clutch bolted together, long lever arm, and you start ramping up pressure until it goes. "Brrrt." Okay, well it held. And the static is a lot higher than what we rated, so the static on the twin is probably around 1150, but you can't really, it's not really
Yeah.
a usable number.
Gotcha.
You got to bring that down a little bit for real world and how the car works.
Is there like an SAE spec or procedure to determining torque capacity, or is it just kind of like an industry standard practice type thing?
There definitely, there's multiple SAE standards as to how they determine and test and whatever. But yeah, I mean,
Because I wasn't sure if there was like a control temperature that the surfaces of the friction discs
Absolutely.
had to be maintained at like 76 degrees, or if it's like 152.
like any scientific experiment, it's always at 70 degrees. That's the general.
You care about this so much, Joe.
Yeah, this is
Well,
great.
like I figure if people don't ask it, they don't ever know. Like
Yeah, no,
things
I'm
can
just messing.
change and things change values.
Right.
messing.
So, like-
variables change other variables.
Exactly.
Or variables make constants variables. If you,
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean,
Go ahead.
No,
No, go
I was
ahead.
going to say different companies will test it differently, but most of us slap it in a car and we load it and we see what we got. And we do that pretty early on with a test mule or something that's pretty competitive. The Mantic clutches were probably done with a Holden or something Aussie and right-hand drive, so who knows.
The gentleman with the 17 GT and the Whipple stage, the Gen 3 stage 1, came back and said, so is there a specific model you would recommend for his power setup? He was making 630 to the wheel with 500 foot-pounds
Yeah,
torque.
if he wants to do the organic, it's a P924 252. And if he wants the Cerametallic, a P921 252. Our part numbers are the first three determine the type of clutch,
Right.
triple or twin, organic, Cerametallic. And the last three are a random collection of numbers that equate to the vehicle it's for. Don't ask me why the 252 is the new ones. Don't ask me why the 236 is the 1117s. It's the way it worked out, people.
And starting tomorrow for 24 hours, use the code
There we
ManticTT
go.
on our website and you'll get 15% off.
There we go.
David Ray says, I'd love to see a watch shift on an MT82 with no clutch.
Ye of little faith. Why don't we do this too? Let's get the white box up here. Why don't we show that off here real quick before we run
Maybe those are
drastically out
actually-
of time? Yeah.
Mario
I don't want those
says,
flywheel teeth digging into my fingers.
I wouldn't either, huh?
Yes.
That's what happened.
Mario Abascal
Oh, Mario?
says, I've got a Mantic triple and a customer's Hellcat with a sequential trans.
That's right, Ricardo's
Yeah.
car. I forgot
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Ricardo's car.
Right on.
I have to show you this car afterwards.
Nastang says, Jeff, do you think you'll grab a 2020 GT500 and look at clutch pack rebuild since we know we're going to break a few?
Absolutely. Absolutely nice.
There you go.
Joe,
Bye-bye.
Brandon, he's got 2 tickets to the gun show.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we still doing the matching tat thing we talked about last
I
time?
think we should.
Did we decide right or left?
Jesus.
I thought
How
it
are we
was.
gonna-
I thought it was left test.
Oh yeah, I was still down for that. Look, it took a little.
Little remembering.
That was a hard sell.
It was. It was.
That was a divorce in the happening right there.
Travis would like to know what would be a good Mantic for a NA S550 that does see the track and Mexico occasionally, mainly daily driving. I do like to beat on it and sometimes take friends out for watt pools.
That's a Cerametallic all day. Possibly an A-centered iron because it's probably getting the living Jesus whipped out of it. I mean, that rarely happens. Speculation, of course.
Is that an anodized color change, or is that just the box reflecting the color
it's just
a different way?
No, and you know my demo there is my well-worn 1819 demo. It's been to a couple shows. So not to get. Do we have any other burning Mantic questions?
No.
Hopefully not burning in
That's
there.
really the
Ooh.
Yeah.
bulk of the Mantic questions right now.
Okay, so we're gonna show our new white box clutch kits, and kind of like it says, comes in a white box. And we've just tried to simplify things a little bit. Like if you're looking at some of the press cover competition.
Well, let's address
maybe
this how it is. This is the peasant clutch.
Why is everyone always-
No, it's the peasant box.
Which reminds me, where is my coffee?
Just kidding.
No cooperation around here.
I'm just kidding.
When you say it like that, it reminds me of the guy that plays in The Mummy. What's his name?
Brendan
Reminds
Fraser.
me of Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I wish I had that
Yeah.
hair. This,
It's in
this is not
the
good.
Universal ride. He says that, "Where's my coffee?" And just like that. It's good times. If you haven't been to Universal, go check it out. You know what I'm
we
talking
have
about.
to go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
see?
So yes, the peasant's clutch.
This is for the people that can't afford the fancy ones.
Right. Or,
Or if you already have a box of your own that you want to put it in, then you can buy this one.
Whatever.
Maybe you have a side business involving small baggies and cases full of money.
Are these baggies
Maybe
great
that's-
value or are they Ziploc?
Yeah, they're probably a little on the side.
Straight eBay.
They were the eBay bargain of the day. So yeah, if you've already got a bearing, if you're
Right.
you're looking at maybe some of the press cover stuff and you maybe want a little higher components, this is a way to do it for a little less money. So still get the drive blocks, also in the eBay bag. You get your bolts, still get your alignment tool. You get your flywheel as well. It's just in a different box, which we could show that, I suppose. But
So it does
But-
come with a flywheel.
absolutely, and it's the exact same clutch as before. Same stuff. This is one of our organics. I have around.
Full face organic.
Yeah, you can check that out too.
So when you're assembling the Cerametallic,
Cerametallics?
do you want the pucks indexed from each other or indexed in line?
Keep them in line.
Okay.
Keep them in line. And it doesn't make a huge difference, but if things get hot and you've got the pucks out of alignment, it can actually cause a little wave. in
Yeah, I
the
can see
intermediate
that. Yeah,
place.
so you've
It's-
also got two forces going like this.
It's kind of a
versus like
stretch,
that.
but you know what? Let's play it safe. Let's keep them lined up.
You
I
basically
figure-
you have no data to support it, but just for peace of mind.
There's data to support it,
Oh,
but
okay.
is it enough over time?
got it.
It varies. It's one of those, you know what, let's just...
In a controlled lab test, we got it to do this.
yes,
in-
the mice were very unhappy.
In true practice, the horses were
Tiny
okay
little
with
feet,
it.
but they are lightning quick off the pedal.
Exactly.
Anyway. But yeah, and that's something else I'll bring up too. So a lot of times we get questions. You look at a full face friction material versus the segmented stuff, and honestly, it kind of functions the same way, torque capacity and clutch capacity wise. If you're doing something really radical, like you have 3 little tiny pucks, yeah, that's going to cause problems. But our Cerametallics, there is enough pucks that's essentially like it's having a full face anyway, and it really has no effect on torque capacity. That's all how big this disc is and this coefficient, how hard we squeeze it, stuff like that.
So when you have a full face, does it pull heat out of the disc surface itself faster and transfer it into the plate faster?
Not really, because this is slipping upon this, which is acting upon this, so it's all kind of generating heat at about the same time.
Okay.
The
Makes sense,
difference
yeah.
in material composition matter a little bit. This will heat up quicker than this simply because this is a lighter, less dense material than the steel, but then the steel retains the heat a little longer because it's a big chunk of steel. So yeah, good question though. Very good question.
Try to keep you on your feet with questions.
This this beard is inspiring all kinds of. This is good.
Nastang says peasant and $1,500 clutch offerings should never be used in the same.
Everything is relative.
It's
I know
all
some people
relative.
that can't afford an $80 clutch.
Yeah.
So like,
We've all
it's all
been there,
about
Joe.
relativity.
We've all been there,
And,
Joe.
and that's
Yeah.
that's the
We've all
thing, too.
taken the flywheel. We've all taken the clutch out and like whiz wheeled it, and then put it all
Yeah.
back in to try and.
I can say I have
Little
not
holy
done
water
that,
on it.
but that's because I just let it slip until I had enough money to put the right clutch in.
Well, see,
Understood.
we've all been there. We've all been there.
Travis says, tell Jeff, the big beard fox body guy, Travis, says, hey, and as
Right on.
always, hey Joe and my favorite multimedia crew. Hi Travis.
Hola.
Good to hear from you, Travis.
Chris says, after the statement of, quote, the side business involving baggies and a briefcase full of cash, I'm definitely buying a Mantic for my 2019.
Nice.
Well played. Well played.
I take whatever sale I can get, man.
Exactly.
Nicely
Poor
done.
boy says, budget build with white box.
budget bill with
Well,
FBO.
and that's the thing too. If we start comparing, like we kind of said, some of the other stuff where you're buying the clutch, you're buying the flywheel, you're buying the bearing separate, we're kind of getting a little closer price point wise.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little better product and it's a little more money. So It kind of depends on what you got to work with, but we're trying. I haven't got the clutches down to $6 yet, but we keep working.
Yeah.
We're getting closer.
I'm
Baby
more,
steps.
I'm more
Hey,
reminiscing. Oh, go ahead.
Do you know if we have any triple Mantics for 14 GT500s by chance?
Here, you'd have to ask the sales guy.
Right there.
Yeah,
we
got-
pulled that
do
one out of
that
stock.
right there.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
oh, you could sign that one.
I could.
Oh,
You could have a hand-signed clutch.
By
Yeah.
Geoff.
The Geoff Gerko signature
true.
series.
Yeah.
I like
Now, is it worth more or less if it's signed?
Oh, I think it's probably, yeah.
I think the marker's contamination.
As the
depending
marker
on
gets
where you put
closer, it just falls right off the. Yeah, it's approaching
What's
that
the, what's the
$6 line.
effect of Sharpie on the anodized finish?
So in closing, we don't know if we have one in sales, but we
Yeah.
at least have that one.
We do have
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
And then he wouldn't have to take it back with him.
I can say that generally speaking,
No,
we
the
have,
triple was actually only pulled out of stock because I mean I basically hauled as much stuff down here as I could. So yeah.
Right, but I'm saying you don't have to take it back with you if you sold it here.
Oh yeah, no, shoot, why not? Yeah, no, nobody wants to display 19.
We have someone
trust
that
me.
was looking for one on the website and didn't see it, so I want to make sure that
Oh, got
we
it.
were offering
okay, that
it.
just may be a website, not.
It may be, so I told him to call in.
Yeah.
We're gonna
You guys-
call in,
Exactly.
talk to the sales
You
guys.
guys pulled
and
all the
I
Mantic
will
stuff
look
off
to
the
make sure that
website,
it's on the
waiting to see how
website.
this goes. I mean, I've had that.
I
happen.
don't think we did though.
Uh,
We got that whole new website thing going on right now.
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
relatively new at this point,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still getting some stuff lined out.
Is it worth putting a clutch in an NA modified 18 GT, or should one ditch the MT82 altogether?
It all depends on what you're going to do with the car. Because we save a significant amount of mass by switching from the dual mass to the single mass aluminum, it is a pretty decent performance upgrade. It's an upgrade that you feel throughout the RPM range. You know, how do you answer this one?
Yeah.
How do we
I'd
really?
put a TKO 600 in it.
Oh well, yeah, there's that.
Or
Face-plated
Face-plated.
TK.
yeah,
Face-plated
TKO
600.
600.
No, I mean, like I say, the MT82 isn't bad per se. It has its limits like everything else.
I was
It
going to
gets
say
the
that.
job done.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
we are spoiled as consumers because you say, oh, the MT82 it only handles 600. Okay,
Yeah,
You go back to
look
the
at what the
T45
T5
days.
and the T45 handled.
Yeah, you
okay,
got 350 out
all
of
that's
newer.
going on now is it is so easy to make big power now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
And comparatively, stock they make big power when you're
Right.
comparing them to pushrod stuff.
Right.
I mean, back in
Right.
the T45 days, the transmission was never an issue because it handled 400 or 500 horsepower before you broke it, and that was never a thing because you were putting an engine in the car before that.
Yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
make that kind of power.
So now, so it's not that the transmission is bad. It's just that
Yeah.
we're asking too much of it because it's so easy to make power with the engine.
Especially with a comparatively budget transmission.
Yeah.
Like if Ford just put 60/60s and everything, we wouldn't really have these
Right.
problems.
Yeah.
But
Well,
That's-
and then similarly too. So the 5.2 cars, they have a really lightened version.
is
of
it a 3660 or something?
Yeah, they got some
Some-
kind of weird thing. I
something
actually have
weird
no
like
data
that.
on those whatsoever.
And I think its torque capacity is only about 450 because they
I
try to
think
keep
it's
everything real
almost
light.
less than MT82 torque
It
capacity.
is. It is. It's a little better design, so it tends to take it a little longer, but only so long.
Right.
But, and then I remember there was a question about the new GT500s, and yeah, I'm gonna try to get my paws on one and see what the
dual
new
clutch.
Tremec 7-speed. And what's neat there, which gives me a little bit
So
of
excited.
oh wow,
Much excite.
how much time does he need? Does he need to?
Mustang Guru says the lay shaft in the MT82 is junk.
Oh, there you go.
There it is.
There you have it. But no, we're kind of excited to get our paws on the new 7-speed and see
Yeah.
what we can do because it's not a traditional torque converter automatic. It's an automated manual,
Right.
which I really dig. Obviously, doing what I do. So
Mustang says TR 3160.
3160.
maybe that's
That's
it.
what it would
Yeah,
be.
there you go.
3160.
There you go.
Good looks.
Good.
With that said, it is 2:35.
Sweet.
We have all the Mantic questions actually answered right now.
Wow.
Hot diggity daffodil.
Let's see, if the MT82 can stand 600 horsepower, I'm happy with it. I'm not a speed shifting girl anyway. Thanks for the answer.
There you go.
No problemo.
With that said, one last time, sale on Mantic clutches starting tomorrow,
Mantic
24
TT.
hours.
Hit up them sales and support boys. Get your orders in.
Make 'em earn their
Mantic
keep.
TT
Don't tell them I said that.
is the code. We will make sure we put it on social this afternoon so that way you guys have it. And with that,
good
Take it.
Yeah,
and
we'll,
good.
I guess we'll end it there. 2:35. Call it.
Time of death.
Yeah,
Hold on.
But yeah, if you guys have any
Wait,
any
this
more
in there
Mantic
first.
related
Oh, yeah,
questions,
that's
you
what
want
I
to get
thought.
another Clutch episode in, let us know what you guys want to see. I think next week we're just doing a boring standard tuning Tuesday.
Bah.
No Jeff.
We will not allow it to be
We've
boring, Jeff.
had-
Well,
Just to throw it out there, we've had a number of guests on here over the last year.
Yes.
If there's anything that you guys, the audience, would like to see, let us know and we can reach out and see what we can do to have other guests on here. There's been several comments today sitting there saying how much they like this episode and how informative it is.
cool.
It's also worth mentioning we've done an episode with Jeff before.
Yes.
That if you like this one, we talked about similar stuff. You may want to check that one out too, just to kind of recap.
Season 1, 13 maybe?
Something like
Maybe
that, yeah.
12?
We can
Hey,
go
I
back
want to say that was
afterwards.
back when still when Alex was here.
I don't get
I
on
can
camera
go back
much, so
afterwards and actually edit this video and put a link to it.
there you go.
Oh, perfect.
So that way we can cross them.
Yeah, we answered. We went pretty long on that one.
We did. I
Quite
think
a
we did an
while.
hour and a half on that.
Yeah.
I have another question that just came in. Says, would the single mass 18 clutch affect daily, or is it a bit MVH?
Yeah,
Thanks
it's just gonna
for
be
it.
loud.
Greetings from Europe.
Yeah,
from
you're,
Europe.
you're gonna have a little more noise, but the drivability is actually comparable. You'll have to tack it up a little more, leaving a stop light because you have less mass on the back of the crank. But again,
That
if
makes
you
sense.
bring your idle speed up a little bit, then you're gonna kind of balance that out.
You've got more
So-
reserve torque anyway at a higher idle
and
speed.
depending on which colony there across the pond this gentleman is at, we've got a couple Mustangs running our stuff in the UK for sure, and slowly it's spreading across the rest of
Because
the
now
country.
we have a global platform. Isn't
Oh,
it beautiful?
Isn't that a beautiful
It is
thing?
really cool.
Yeah.
Tim wants to know, are you guys into the other dual clutch markets like R8?
No, not yet. It's definitely a direction we want to go, just because there's more and more opportunities out there, and I think for us here in the States, with the coming C8, which I believe it's probably getting a similar variant of that
The
7-speed
Tremec
Tremec.
transmission. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Supposedly.
definitely a direction we're going to go. So that might let us kind of spill into some of these other platforms that have been doing the dry clutch thing for quite a while.
Do you guys know who the OEs are working with on the dry clutch stuff?
I want to say ASIN or possibly Exity, but they're kind of one and the same. It's kind of hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised.
I didn't know Exity was an E OEM.
Yeah, they've done a lot of OE stuff for a long
I
time,
didn't know that.
decades. I wouldn't be surprised if Tremec actually did an in-house kind of design, but it's hard to say. Kind of hard to say.
I kind of wondered that why they don't have their own. I mean, it'd be the ultimate. It'd be the next logical step. I want to make transmissions. Might as well make the clutch to help the transmission.
It's possible too because like Vallejo and Sox have been so huge, or even
say
Luke.
Vallejo did Fords for
I bet
years.
you it's Luke. If I had to put, I
Oh, yeah.
retract that
Oh,
statement.
UK, yeah.
It probably is Luke. And I had the privilege of being in their facility decades ago because I'm aging not so gracefully. Yeah, I know, right? It's only so long.
Exactly.
We gotta get those matching tats quick.
We do.
Luke has got a very impressive R&D center and how they test and develop.
Right.
That was pretty cool. It's well worth seeing. So.
Awesome.
Melvin wants to know, do you have something for the 6R80 guys?
Sorry, bro.
Direct
Not
couple
yet.
input shafts.
Yeah, I'll personally weld the converter together for you, but
There was some old timers back in the day were doing something like that, and I'm trying to remember they were putting a clutch
you
on
can-
an automatic. Like,
you can run a clutch on an automatic.
yeah, that's what. Yeah,
It's a little. You definitely.
I want to remember that. I'm trying to say like some old '60s or '70s hot rods. They
Circle
were
Track
doing
guys
clutches
do it, too.
on turbo 350s.
Circle
Yeah,
Track guys do it.
I'm swear to you. Look
Yeah.
it up.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
There was a kit for a while.
The question that came in that said, would the single mass 18 clutch affect daily, or is it a bit NVH? She says, I'm from Austria and a gentlewoman, not a gentleman.
I am so
Oh.
sorry. I am so sorry, ma'am.
You never know who's...
It's
Yeah, and I'll probably get. I kind of look like a chick from the back, so I really can't say anything. But some people say I look like a chick from the front, but that's a whole other. Anyway,
Her username's Cute Shadow Kia, so...
well, on second thought.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So sorry.
And
I have,
Dean?
I have no more clutch questions.
Wow.
Oh, then we Gucci
We
then.
might have wore them out.
Uh-oh.
240. We're 5 minutes after time of death.
We resuscitated.
Exactly.
But it's dead again.
But yeah, like we were saying earlier, if there's anything specific you guys want to see, if you want to see Jeff's beautiful glowing face again,
I
hit
am
us up,
available.
let us know. If you can, let us know specifically what you're looking for out of the episode or what you want us to talk about. What do you want us to see us? What you want to see us
What do
do?
you really want to see us do?
Yeah,
Well, that opens up a can.
it does.
I
It
don't
does.
feel that the general population wants to keep seeing Joe answer oil pump gear questions.
I know, right?
That could get a little,
Yeah,
little mundane.
it's-
A little mundane.
It's very mundane. If you want oil pump gears, buy oil pump gears.
You
If
know,
you
I
don't
will
want
tell
them-
you, one of the very first comments today
was
was,
ask Joe if we knew.
Oh,
"Hey
boy.
Joe, how about them oil pump gears?"
See?
How about oil pump gears for TR6060s?
It was
now
actually,
When do those break?
When
it
do
was
they?
actually, "Hey Joe, 3 words, oil pump gears."
See?
People are like trying to use that to trigger me now.
It's working.
Yeah, exactly.
I will not ask you about oil pump gears ever. I'll make that promise.
Hashtag triggered and the face and the shaking.
Nice.
But I guess for now, we'll call it quits for the day.
All right.
Let us know if you guys have questions. Go buy some clutches.
Yeah.
Make this worthwhile for both us and Jeff.
I mean,
If you don't got the money now, remember PayPal's there for you.
15%
Credit
off
card's there for you.
is stout.
Yeah.
You could technically buy like 5 and then resell them later.
Oh, now see, now that's a business proposition right there.
See?
Buy as
wants-
many as you want.
It wants to buy us out. I will make a deal. You guys can send any questions to the Mantic USA Facebook page, through the website. Plenty of ways to get a hold of us and get your questions answered. And we'll, time permitting, even if you have an issue that's maybe not directly related to our product, we'll gladly try to help you.
And check out some of the Mantic Clutch videos on like product installation, how to bleed a slave,
Yup.
especially if you're about to be doing the clutch install yourself.
We have a
Know how to bleed a slave.
Watch
have
the
a-
videos while you're waiting for the clutch you purchased tomorrow to get there.
That's right. That's right. Give me a little time to get back to whipping the minions.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's a great point. We do have a triple disc install video. We've got a diagnostic video. If you're convinced I sent you a bad clutch, there's some steps we can go through to test that and save you guys a little bit of time and hassle.
What's your actual channel on YouTube for your videos?
Oh, man, just Mantic Clutch USA.
Okay, Mantic Clutch USA.
Yeah. The USA is important. Otherwise, you go to the Australian channel, which
And immediately start doing burnouts.
it's an
Bunch of
interesting.
bogans.
Like immediately it just starts doing burnouts. Like your car in the parking lot starts doing burnouts.
Yeah.
Without even
And it's got the idle surge big blower.
Yes.
That does a burnout every time it idles up.
which might be a function of oil.
It turns the tire 1 revolution per idle surge.
Exactly. But for now, bye guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.